might have to sort of see what sort of benefits infantry would have from Blitzkrieg. I know they move faster and fire faster, but how noticeable would it actually be? And Stug moving in, of course also firing faster, but getting a bit less accurate. Riflemen taking a bit of losses in this. And Stu 42 lost again. This is sort of the mistake on my behalf. Grenadiers getting torn apart. Stu trying to crush the infantry, but having no luck. Knocked out as well. And Blitzkrieg is over. Not the best sort of move, as you might have noticed. I should have waited for these two to have been repaired. Then things might have looked slightly better. Of course, having the Grenadiers as well would also have been the better move. So there you go. Learn from my mistake. Do be careful with Blitzkrieg. Can certainly be useful, although I'm not entirely sure how useful it was for the infantry. Stormtroopers hitting the field. The 17th SS landing a few reserves to help out in things. And Grenadiers moving to sort of stop this harassment point. Of course, this was a rather unfortunate move for me, since I just gave him a huge advantage, knocking out 2 of my armored vehicles and an infantry team. For him barely losing anything, that was of course a really bad move for me. And of course again, don't send in armored vehicles on an attack without having them fully repaired unless you're absolutely desperate, which of course I wasn't. I was just a bit too curious and not thinking things through entirely. I got in fact a bit impatient. Nebelwerfer though joining in. Once more getting the drop on the Americans. A few getting killed. In fact, looks like an infantry team might be lost. No, it just barely makes it out of there. And Pioneers pushing through here, laying down further barbed wire. Lots of barbed wire, in fact, being laid down. Stormtroopers with a BAR. Also getting ready to move in. Anti-tank gun getting out of there. Victory point once more falling into the hands of the 352nd. Things not looking too good for the 28th Infantry Division, although it looks like they do have a tank depot up. Shall we actually be seeing a tank for them, or shall we be seeing something else? Perhaps a tank destroyer? Would not be unusual, of course, if it is a Sherman tank. I am going to be in a bit of trouble. As you may have noticed, I just lost my Stug. I only have this pack, in fact, to serve as any sort of anti-tank defense. Pioneers forced to retreat in the face of all these riflemen. Airborne joining in as well. MG42 opening up from this rather nice position, suppressing the riflemen. Grenadiers moving in from the east, and the battle phase has been reached. Ray. Stormtroopers taking up a nice ambush position behind the ruined Stug. Stug 42, and there in the distance we see it. M4 Sherman. This is certainly going to be a nasty surprise for me. Taking up a rather strong position here. Building is out. MG42 retreating. Getting the drop on this anti-tank gun. Grenadiers will have to retreat. Cannot take on this Sherman. And a bundle grenade drop right onto this anti-tank gun. Clearing it out. Brilliant move. But will have to retreat since they can't take on a Sherman either. Airborne and Riflemen joining in. One Stormtrooper is down. Grenadiers taking on the fight here against Veterancy. 2 Riflemen. Of course quite lethal. And assault being used, sort of throw back Riflemen, and there we go. But the Sherman renders this all for naught, able to open fire. Second Stug on the field, but getting quickly fired upon by the anti-tank gun. Not looking good. Getting ahead on the Sherman. And repair Pioneers moving in. Anti-tank gun also ready. Stug though taking quite a bit of damage already. Again, anti-tank guns are quite lethal. Grenadiers moving in, flanking. Airborne moving in. Oh dear, knocking out the Stug. It barely lived. That was terrible. And anti-tank are not looking too good either. Might in fact be knocked out, which of course will render things a lot easier for the Americans, since of course now I have absolutely no anti-tank defenses. But my goodness, Panzer Command is up, opening up for some heavy armor support from a nearby Panzer division. Probably the Panzer Lehr, offering up some of their more veteran armor to help out the 352nd in this mess. And there we go, Americans clearing out this anti-tank gun. Of course ensuring I can't get my hands on it, much to my frustration. But Panzer Command is up. And I'll be going for a Panther to sort of deal with this, figuring I might as well, since there's a Sherman, I want this knocked out rather quickly. And of course it can also withstand a bit more damage from the airborne and the recoilless rifles. with its rather thick, sloped frontal armor. Stormtroopers moving in. MG42 setting up in the postal office. Airborne getting out of there. Almost sensing the stormtroopers would drop a bundle grenade, but no, apparently going out for this bunker. Grenades being dropped at the stormtroopers, but missing. Avoiding the stormtrooper grenade. In fact, the bundle grenade sets off the mine, which is rather unfortunate. MG42 suppressing these riflemen. Anti-tank on an M4 Sherman, nasty combination. But the Panther is slowly on the way. Grenadiers moving in on these nasty chaps. Sherman though getting closer, 6 kills already. Anti-tank gun opening fire on the postal office, so does the Sherman. No damage so far. Riflemen though getting cleared out by the Grenadiers. Grenade being dropped on the riflemen, and they barely get out of there. But not looking good for the gunners and the postal office. Volksgrenadiers moving out. Nebelwerfers blasting away, clearing out the anti-tank gun, much to my fortune. And Airborne coming under fire from the Volksgrenadiers, who are taking up positions in the ditch. Airborne slowly crawling towards the anti-tank gun, perhaps. Sherman though continuing its rampage among the German lines. Tiger is also ready to be summoned into the battlefield. In fact, I could have just dropped this Panther, and just called in the Tiger, but no. I want this Panther, damn it. Volksgrenadiers forced back, holding the line until the Panther can arrive and stabilize things and really show those Yankees what Panthers are all about. So not that silly allied stuff. Panzer 5 on the field. There we go. Sherman direct hit to the rear. And of course the Sherman just bounces off. The rear repair bunker is ready to keep the Panther operational, and Panther getting another nice shot, but the anti-tank gun is ready once more. Getting a rather nasty hit off on the Panther. Airborne as well, getting rear hits, and the Panther already down to half health. Not looking good. Of course, anti-tank guns are vicious buggers. MG42 also getting ready nearby to sort of protect the Panther. Panther not looking good. Nebelwerfers also opening up. Really doing my best to keep the Panther operational. The loss of the Panther now would be rather devastating to my efforts. Anti-tank gun once more cleared out. MG42 keeping the airborne and riflemen pinned down. Stormtroopers continuing in the east, clearing out the eastern victory point of anything American and Star Spangled, and getting ready to take it for Germany. Volksgrenadiers though coming under heavy fire from the Sherman. Panther though firing back, showing the Sherman who is the boss, and a strafing run, pinning down everybody and doing quite a bit of damage to the Volksgrenadiers, but the Grenadiers do marvelously manage to survive. Volksgrenadiers will be forced to retreat though, sailing up for a Tiger. And Airborne getting in. Veterans 2 already certainly making them dangerous, but coming under fire from the Panther. And here we have a sort of bug where the MG42 didn't really want to fire, so I had to replace it. And opening up on the Airborne, cutting one down already. Panther continuing to getting repaired. Anti-tank gun once more recruit and opening up on the repair bunker. Panther slowly pulling back. Stormtroopers getting out of there. Not looking too good for them. It looks like this repair bunker will not be much longer on this earth. And now the Tiger moves in. Hauptmann Voss to the rescue. Tiger 205. There you go. A bit of heavy firepower for those damnable Yankees. Hoping to catch perhaps some airborne out on the road with its 88mm gun. And Sherman finding it with a rather nasty surprise in the form of the Tiger. A rear shot. Not good at all. And Airborne now getting faced as well. Panther joining in. Airborne of course reinforcing on the field, coming under fire. Pioneers moving in. And one Airborne member is lost. Sticky bombs going off on the Tiger. And missing the rifleman. My goodness, that was tragic. Pioneers lost as they tried to repair. And everybody just fires on those riflemen, but none actually hits. And the Nebelwerfer though gets them crawling. In fact, it gets everyone suppressed. But that seems to be about it. Fresh German assault moving in. Volksgrenadiers and Grenadiers leading the charge, while Stormtroopers and Volksgrenadiers are getting reinforced. Moving in towards this victory point. Barely anything left for AlCoHolic. In fact, let's have a return to him. Strafing run, air reconnaissance, AT gun drop and airborne, and assault being used on these riflemen. Stunning and doing quite a bit of damage. Might even kill a few. Yes, there we go. Volksgrenadiers being really good to in fact use assault with. Just a quick note, of course, since they are 5, and I do believe it's about 2 to 3 grenades for every member. So of course Volksgrenadiers are generally the best to use assault with, since they are 5, meaning you get the most grenades out of them. So that's of course a rather good little tip. Of course grenadiers can also be used, but again, if you have the option, use Volksgrenadiers. You do get a lot more grenades for your buck. And we are seeing some riflemen moving towards the west here, but let us return to the action. America is able to keep up the pressure and hold the line due to their rather powerful anti-tank guns. In fact, several now on the field. Sherman also getting repairs. In fact, 13 kills, not bad at all. And these airborne are also nasty, having knocked out some Stooks. Gaining veterans too, but Stormtroopers and Volksgrenadiers are ready to move out. Looks like they are moving forward to try and knock out that repair bunker, but are coming under immediate fire from the German armor. Panther and Tiger, the big cats, missing. Oh my goodness, that was not fun. For me, that is. For him, it was probably ecstatic. Volksgrenadiers taking up position in the postal office. Tiger moving in, getting a nice position on these riflemen, and hitting the wrecked pickup truck instead. Not quite what I had hoped for. And riflemen taking airborne, taking further losses. Riflemen getting a bit too far away from the pickup truck, standing a bit more out in the open. This is not good. In fact, Stormtroopers taking up a nice position right here at this small raised area and taking the victory point as well. Anti-tank guns moving in. Tiger charges in, rather realizing there's only one way to handle anti-tank guns. The Tiger manner, that is, knocking them out from the front. This is of course the rather usual thing most tanks did when facing anti-tank guns. They just blasted them away, as anti-tank guns were in fact pretty frail even with their gun shields. That is of course something you don't really hear about in most things, but such it was. And looks like these engineers are in dire need of getting out of their ass. They are getting torn apart by the German armor, Panther and Tiger. Airborne though, getting a few nasty shots, sending the gunner on a very high flight. And bombing run getting ready as well. My goodness, that could easily end up badly for me. Airborne sent on a flight of their own, getting airborne once more. And we are seeing a slightly nice position here, some sandbags to sort of prevent this from being used by the Americans. And Grenadiers of course taking up the position here with Volksgrenadiers nearby. And Stormtroopers taking up this really nice position, rather dominating of course, and if anyone tries to get up these stairs, they will get shot down. Volksgrenadiers holding out near the barbed wire. Does limit the amount of approaches the Americans can make on them. Some sandbags could have been of help. And the Nebelwerfer once more howls, unleashing its deadly payload on the American forces right in the middle of everything. These chaps are in fact pinned down and are easy targets for the Volksgrenadiers. And we are having here a veterans, the free rifleman team, one of the most devastating units in the entire game. And the MG42 team felt their wrath. Panther though joining in, although it is looking awfully damaged, but we are seeing Veterans 3 now up for the armor. And we are seeing a heavy machine gun being used here. That's a bit weird. And was cut down by the Stormtroopers before it got into the church. Tiger though continuing, and Veterans 3 for armor, among other things, actually makes them harder to penetrate. So that is of course a nice thing. And we are seeing the Veterans 3 riflemen moving in here towards these Grenadiers, but the Grenadiers are quick with their response. Assault grenades being thrown. Of course, rather